Hello, everyone. We are back with another book club with 40 Secrets for the Single Woman. And I'm sure that today precisely, we are on secret number 30. And I'm sure that you up to now, right, that we've been reading together those 30 secrets, you have already changed many things about yourself. You already perceive things that before you had never perceived. That is a spiritual growth. That even though there are many times some things that we have spoke about that maybe they have touched, in that vein, touched in that point that hurts. Perhaps you didn't like something. Perhaps you felt hurt. Pay close attention in those moments when you hear a word, when you watch or hear somebody speaking about something which that whacks you. You perhaps don't like it very much what was said. Usually, what I do, I take that which was said that bothered me and I just ask myself, why did that bother me? And then we're going to be speaking a little bit about that today, about things that are hidden inside of us. And many times we don't want to see it. We don't want to touch in that point. We don't want to because that hurts. That really is painful. But meanwhile, you don't touch in that topic because it hurts and it's painful. That it's like if it was something that is there hidden. It's hidden. It's just like when you buy groceries and you buy something and you leave it in the fridge and you think like this, oh, I'm not going to eat right now. But that time passes by and that just starts rotting there. Sometimes it's a trauma that you had, something bad that happened to you in your past, and that is there hidden, right? Kept away. You don't touch in that topic. You avoid to speak about things that they come close to that because it hurts. Those things you need to observe. They are things that you need to see in yourself. That's why it's so important. It's important for us to learn to self-evaluate ourselves, to analyze ourselves. That's very important. And people, that's something very deep. And the world, people, nobody teaches you how to do those things, because everybody thinks like this. No, let's just turn this off and then let's leave it to the side. Yeah, leave it to the side. But if you didn't resolve it, if you just leave it to the side, right? But it's resolved, okay. But if you're just leaving it on the side and that thing is not resolved inside of you, then you are just leaving a little point there, and that point, in 1 minute or the other, it's going to appear and it's going to give fruits. You're going to have consequences and fruits, right? Fruits is a consequence. One time it happened, a problem happened with me. And that really saddened me very much. That problem, that situation that happened with me. I was like, a really pretty long time, very sad, really upset. And at the same time, I wasn't able to understand where I messed up. And the person would talk and it was in this that you messed up. But I just would not be able to see my mistake. What I would be able to see is,
that person does not understand me. That person is being unfair with me.
And that problem, it was like, it was like that thing that was deep inside, and that in reality I didn't want to touch. I didn't want to mess. I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to simply forget about what happened and just move forward. But I wasn't able to forget it because it wasn't resolved inside of me. So then, it would come and go. It would come and go in my mind. I would cry.
I would be sad. I felt like it was unjust.
I remember that I prayed and I spoke to God and I said, I don't want to feel like this anymore, my God. This doesn't do me good. That burden that I'm feeling, that sadness, I'm sad. When I think about that, I get sad. I don't want that. And so then I was asking God, God, help me. There are things that really mess with our ego, that mess with us, and you, when you recognize a defect of yours, it's hard. When you recognize a mistake, it's very hard. And I was praying and I would ask God for him to show me, and it was so hurtful. It was so painful. You see how much you need of God's help in that trajectory of revealing things that are inside of you. Because it wasn't my husband that helped me. It wasn't a best friend that helped me. Nobody was able to help me, because not even myself was able to understand. So sometimes I wasn't even able to express what was inside of me. I just would tell God, my God, you know what's inside of me. Only God was able to understand, because I wasn't able to put what I was feeling in words. And so then to going to him and asking, praying and saying, my God, I can't take it anymore. I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to get sad every time I think of that situation. I don't want to be that way. And I don't want that to happen again. And you know that when you have something that is inside of you, it's just like I said, it's that point, or it's that thing that you bought and it's there in the fridge. One day that thing is going to be there and it's going to smell already. And the smell, what is the smell? For example, the bad smell are the problems that happen. If you went through a problem at your job, for example, and you don't learn with the problem that you went through, it means that you are going to go through it again. You understand? When you have a problem in your life, and you don't learn with it, then you don't grow. You don't evolve. So then consequentially, that problem is going to happen again and again and again, and it continues happening until you learn. And I told God, I remember that in my prayers, I said, I don't want to go through this ever again, God. I never want for that to happen. I really need to understand where I messed up. I need to understand what is my problem. I cannot put, blame someone else. That's happening because she was unfair, because she doesn't understand me, because even though there's a little point there, there's something there that you need to learn. And I have that conscience. I always did. Thank God, because I learned that. That's why is that worry that I had that was so great to never want to go through that again. It took me to look inside of me. It took me to make myself look at myself, and that, people, it's not an easy situation. It's not easy, and it's not everybody that does that, because it's much more easier to say, whatever, move forward, and then later on you see that there's a whole bunch of things accumulated inside of you that are wrong, and then you see that you go through problems repetitively and varied, because now there's so many things that are rotten inside of your fridge. You understand? So then what do you need to understand of all of this? You need to evaluate yourself. Did you go through a problem, a situation that was hard, a situation that you never want to go through? You then need to evaluate yourself. Where did you mess up? Where is your mistake? And I saw there in that moment, my mistake, it had a root of pride. It had many, stubbornness, imprudence, inconsistency. I saw many things, but the main thing a root of pride.
Why did it hurt so much?
Because I was being proud.
Why did it hurt so much?
Because I didn't want to see my mistakes.
Why did it hurt so much?
Because it was easier to put the blame on others.
Oh, because she doesn't understand.
How many times do you do that? When something happens, a problem with you, somebody calls your attention, and immediately you are the victim. No, sometimes it's not even for others. It's for you, for your eyes. Sometimes it's for you yourself. In front of the person, you're like this.
With that face of poor thing.
Inside of you, you have that whole conversation with yourself. And it's this.
You don't understand me. You don't understand anything. You just complain and talk bad.
For you to be strong, for you to be part of the Lord's army, you're going to have to take a lot of beatings. For that crystal to become steel. So then I also learned that. I took many beatings and I said, now I'm going to stop being a crystal. I need to be steel. I can't be that little bing and then it just cracks. And it's not on the outside. It's in your interior. It's you go through problems and it's that person that perhaps they're hard, to deal with.
Well, I also have a person like that in my life, that is tough. It's a tough cookie.
But because I also became one tough cookie, then the person says things that the devil uses to offend you, to hurt you, says things that uses that person to say things about others to see if you're going to have a reaction or something inside of you. The devil's like that. So then I started, when a person starts saying things, I start praying inside of me and I'm smiling. Oh, devil, you disgrace. You are tied up. Oh, captain of hell, I see you. So the person speaking and I'm like, when you have the Holy Spirit, He alerts you. Because when you are in spirit and not in flesh, you immediately, that person is speaking, that thing that is going to make you explode, that is going to touch your nerve, that is going to hurt you, you in spirit, you see the devil there behind them. Spiritually, the person is saying those things to hurt you because the devil is inciting the person to say that. So the person is saying,
you're worthless. You should have never been born. I curse the hour that I had you.
The person is saying things that are so harsh, but behind that person, you are seeing the devil. So then automatically what happens? You know that it's not the person. So then your hatred, your anger, and then you live the word that says that our fight is not against flesh, but against the spiritual forces of evil, wicked of hell that are behind. So then your hatred, it turns in direction not to the person that is speaking, but to him who's there behind that person, using that person to speak those things that are hurting you. That is you living in spirit. And that what happens when you see that it's the devil, then you feel bad for that person because that person, they are being used by him. You feel bad because you're not angry at her or him. You don't keep hatred with the things that they're saying. You keep hatred of Satan with the devil that is using them because he knows exactly what things that are going to hurt you. He's there around you all the time. He knows what gets you mad. He knows what hurts you. So then he uses people around you to say exactly what's going to hurt you. But when you are in spirit, because you've lived the word of God, you are able to see the devil. You're able to see behind each person. And you don't have hatred against the person. You hate the devil. And there in your prayers, you're like, you know what? You're tied up, devil. You're burning him. You're there, you disgraceful devil, So then, for example, with that person, I'm always smiling. And sometimes that person says things and I'm just like, but I love you, I just take it to, playing around because then later the person repents of what they said. They see, oh my goodness, why did I say? But then it's just it has so much pride that they're not gonna say sorry. But I also understand that. I understand sometimes that their anger left, and then they talk about like nothing happened. Like if we never had anything. But I understand that. And I'm able to love that person. I'm able to pray for that person. I have not even a little bit of resentment, of grudge, of pain, because I understand that person. So then when you live that faith, you are light, you have peace. And what was going on when that situation happened with me, I saw that I wasn't having peace. That sadness was showing me that it was a grudge, right? Because sometimes we say sadness, and I say sadness because I would be sad all the time with that. I would remember that. In reality, it was a grudge that was there that I needed to take out from me. But I only removed it when I went and I touched in the wound. I touched the wound, and I threw hydrogen peroxide and I just let it go, shh. And that pus that was already there in the wound, and I went there and I took the cotton ball and I was cleaning all that pus, that nastiness. When you clean and you take out all that dirt. For that wound to scar up, that's what I had to do. I had to go and mess with it, and I had to see. Don't look at others because I can't change other people. You need to understand that it doesn't make sense for you to see the mistakes of others because you can't change other people. The only person that you can change is yourself. You can only change yourself. So then what do you need to do? You need to see yourself, find the problem, find the root of the problem, find the root of your mistake, and change that. Clean that wound. Make that wound scar up so that you won't have anything. You cannot have an open wound. Inside of us, we need to have scarred wounds. When it's a scarred wound, it doesn't even show anymore. You even forget sometimes. There are times that you had, look, for example, I have a little mark here, contrary to my husband, thank God, right? I was, active, but I never broke anything. I never cut to have to put in stitches, never. But one time a bee stung me or something, I don't know, some bug, and it was there, and it's just a little mark that I have here. But at that time it would hurt, but now today it doesn't hurt. It's just a scar that I see. It doesn't hurt. I remember, but it doesn't hurt. You understand? But that I had inside of me in that situation that I had, it wasn't a scar that I remembered, and it would go every single time that I would remember it, it would hurt. So then every time that you remember about something and that hurts, it means that you still have an open wound inside of you. And you need to make it scar up. You need to touch in it. You need to go and treat that wound. And when you treat it, that wound inside of you, it's you seeing to yourself that what could I have done? What could I have done differently? Okay. And then you're going to have to, forgive maybe the person. There are many things that you could change, that you're going to see your mistakes. But another thing that you're going to need to do it many times in situations is that you're going to see like this, that it wasn't your fault, but what you need to do for that wound to scar up is to just forgive. So then sometimes you are so proud, you are hard, you do not want to forgive. So then that's going to be open. You don't want to clean it. You don't want to throw hydrogen peroxide so it won't hurt. You don't want to pass cotton to clean the pus. Then it's going to be there always. But when you go, you mess with that wound. You see that situation, you know, go back in time and you say, you know, I'm going to resolve this. I don't want to remember that anymore and feel sad. I want to remember because it's scar. It's not like you look and you don't remember. You remember, but it doesn't hurt. And that's what needs to happen with things that you have inside of yourself. Things that happen, incidents that you had in your life. You remember, but it doesn't hurt. Why? Because it's a scarred up wound. Because you went and you evaluated the situation. You fixed it. You had a mistake, then you fixed it. You had a mistake with somebody that you needed to forgive them, then you forgave them. So then you're free, you're light, you have peace. And that's what perhaps you who are watching this video, you are needing to do right now. You are filled with wounds, open wounds inside of you. And it's important for you to understand that those things are going to generate consequences because they generate inside of you behaviors. It could be that behavior, for example, there are people that they already have lived situations and they feel like if they had to protect themselves from that happening again. So then they put barriers, you know, they lift the barriers. For example, if you were deceived with a man, with a guy, so then you are already starting putting up barriers.
He cheated on me, so then the others are also gonna cheat on me. So then you put up barriers. You don't want any more relationships.
There are people that even say, you know what, I don't want a man anymore. So then they go to another way. Like if women would be perfect, right? And they're not. Relationship problems, they're always going to exist. But what do you do with problems? You resolve it. That's what we learn in school, right?
It's written, problems. Resolve this problem. Little girl had so many, I don't know what, and then there's problems and you need to resolve.
Problems are for you to resolve, It's not for you to filled with marks, with pain and open wounds inside of you that are going to generate attitudes inside of you that are going to take you away from what you want. When you resolve the problem, and that means that you found a solution. And for example, in that problem specifically that happened in my life, never again did it happen. Something similar, you know, never again did it repeat itself, because I went and I touched in the wound. I cleaned it. I did everything that I needed to do, and I changed. I recognized and I see it, you know what, that was my mistake, and now I'm not going to mess up again in that. And I always am watching out, looking at myself, placing myself in my position. And today I look back and that doesn't hurt me anymore. And I know that I learned. And I know that I evolved. You know why? Because the problem, it didn't repeat itself again. Perhaps you have things like that in your life. Problems that repeat themselves. Problems again and again and always repeating themselves. It's because you still did not learn with those problems. Okay? So we're going now to our tip. And you who have your book, read it. Read what was said. It's basically, you know, what I said, but I used a lot more words than what's in the book, right? But for just being 2 pages and a half, you know, I'm sure that you're going to learn very much with it, okay? So let's go then to our homework. Search yourself, find the mistake, ask for forgiveness, think of how you can change it and put it into practice. This is very helpful because when we don't search ourselves to find our mistakes, we end up looking outside to find other people's mistakes. Certainly, searching yourself isn't fun, and you will probably even cry, but you should question your emotions and not stop there. And remember, stop looking at other people. When a person says something, they hurt you, live the biblical faith, you know. See what is behind that person And there you are going to hate the evil that used that person, but not the person. And you seeing inside of yourself, seeking to change in you and not in other people. Remember that. Don't ever forget that you cannot change anyone. The only person that you can change for real is yourself. Okay, so we stop here today. And today our encounter was a little more serious, more, I'm sure that it's going to generate fruits inside of you, good ones. Okay, so then a big hug, and until next Sunday, bye-bye.